closest election for the presidency in our lifetime. Al Gore and George W. Bush. And if either of them, going into this election, would have conceded that we will not use every legal means possible to us at the end, before the election began, we wouldn't have. We never would have had a recount in Florida.
That's different than what Donald Trump did.
We never would have had a recount in Florida. We never would have had a Supreme Court decision.
Are you disappointed in your running mate?
Look, here's what I'm disappointed in: the hypocrisy of no one calling Al Gore.
No, we've already gotten it.
He conceded.
We got the talking points already.
David, here's what happened, and you remember this: Al Gore conceded that night, then he unconceded, then he had to reconcede on December 13th, 6 weeks later.
Right.
So
because they had to recount the votes,
which the Secretary of State certified November 18th.
But they weren't counted.
Corey,
it was an automatic recount.
Why wouldn't your guy just say, of course, unless there's something that called into question the result, of course I'll accept them. Why wouldn't he do that?
What he's saying is I will use every means possible to make sure that it's a fair election.
That's what you're saying.
Let's talk about what he actually said. What he actually said is, I'll keep you in suspense. There's nothing presidential about, number one, his debate performance tonight, and number two, that answer. This was the most undemocratic answer that could have been given by someone who is, as Hillary Clinton said, a major party's nominee. That was a horrible answer. He made a mockery of American democracy tonight.
What's a mockery? This whole conversation is mockery.
The fact that I was at the comma and not the period is also a mockery.
She doesn't want to talk about what's really going on in this country. She doesn't want to talk about the fact that she lied about her immigration position. She doesn't want to talk about the fact that she lied about any more things.
Corey, it wasn't the question asked at the debate. The question was asked by Chris Wallace of Fox News, who did a very good job tonight pressing both candidates. Yeah. He did ask some questions of Secretary.
Not as good as Anderson.
This was a question. Anderson did a great job as well. I'm talking about tonight. This was a question about. This question was not asked in 2000. No. Had it been asked during the debates, I'm sure both candidates, George W. Bush and Al Gore, would have said, "I fully expect to accept the results." We didn't know it was going to come down to 537 votes. But the reason the question was asked is that Donald Trump keeps saying at rallies there's election fraud. There's a rigged election. The media bias thing is another thing. We can talk for 25 years about that if you want. But he says specifically the election is being rigged now and will be rigged on Election Day. That has never happened before.
And his surrogates have gone on here.
So let's talk about what Donald Trump has talked about this election. He's talked about immigration. The American people have now focused on immigration. He's talked about the terrible trade deals. Hillary Clinton's changed her position, and now TPP is a bad thing. He's talked about getting NATO to pay. What are they doing? I'm getting to the point. I'm getting to the point. He's talked about NATO paying their fair share. They're now going to pay their fair share. He's talking about having a free and fair election and making sure the election results are honest and trustworthy. And now the American people are going to say, you know what? That's exactly right. And the media bias that has surrounded this campaign is unequivocal. It is absolutely biased. The numbers are there. And so what he's saying is, let's make sure this election is fair. Let's make sure it's honest. And at the end of the day, I'll make sure the American people are focused on this so that they can do it.
Had he said that, I would have applauded him, Corey. And Corey, he didn't say that. Here's the deal.
Look, you hear the people.
Had he said that, Corey, everybody in America would have stood up and applauded. The reality is that is not what he said. And you guys keep coming out here and trying to reflip and respin everything.
And I think the bigger problem is we're not talking about issues. Hillary Clinton tried over and over again to pivot towards issues. Tonight we're judging Donald Trump on whether or not he pouted for 5 minutes or whether he smiled. Or we're not even talking about his inability to answer questions. The fact that he does not only does he not have the temperament to lead this country, he doesn't have the temperament to be a high school president. Like we're not talking about some very fundamental.
I was a high school president, and he certainly has the temperament.
You may have.
Why am I not surprised?
You do a hell of a lot better in a debate than your candidate.
Can I just read you something that Donald Trump said this past May during the primaries, after he was doing well, right, and was winning or won. You've been hearing me say it's a rigged system, but now I don't say it anymore because I won. It's true. Now I don't care. I don't care. And the only way I won was I won by such a big margin because it is a rigged system. But the only way you can do it, it's like a boxer. You got to knock them out, then you don't got to worry about the judges. But it's true. So...
What was his tone of voice?
I don't know. I don't know.
Let me read you something that Al Gore said. Ignoring voters means ignoring democracy itself. If we ignore those votes in thousands in Florida in this election, how can you or any American have confidence that your vote will not be ignored in a future election?
Can I just ask a question? These are two different things, because Donald Trump was complaining about the rigged system. No. Donald Trump was complaining about the rigged system all along
Al Gore
until he won.
System right here.
until he won.
These are his words in the New York Times.
Al Gore was complaining because there was an automatic recount in the state of Florida, and as you know,
That's
it
not what
wound
they said.
up 537 vote difference.
Anderson.
This is different. The complaints about the rigged system occur. The complaints about the rigged system occur during a presidential debate. You have never seen anything like that. Al Gore wasn't complaining. He said you have to count the votes.
Can I just ask a question?
Because there was a recount.
For the rest of this part of the discussion, and I think Corey probably missed the first hour and a half, but for the rest of this part of the discussion, can we please address the election that will take place on November 8th, 2016, and not relitigate an election that has been asked, answered, and solved from 2000? That's all I'm asking for the moderators. Can we please not bring it up? Bring up the emails, because it has something to do with this election. Why are we talking about Al Gore in 2016?
I'll tell you
they
why.
talked about it for an hour.
I'll tell you why.
It's nuts.
I'll tell you why, and you weren't here.
I know, but I watched it. And
You asked the question, let him answer.
Let me answer. Is that what Donald Trump is saying, what many Americans feel, is that the system, FBI, State Department, I mean, you name it, is quote-unquote rigged. That they let off their friends.
So look, your guy.
They play a double game, and it doesn't matter whether it's the election or whether it's the internal workings of the FBI getting her off the hook. It's all part and parcel of the same thing. That is what the election is about.
Thank you very much.
So why does that?
Let Van go ahead.
You're trying to get rid of it. Let's get rid of it. So let's talk to somebody who actually might give us some information here. So, John King, you are the person who I think we all look to. This guy says he wants to be a law and order candidate. Do you think that Republicans and other people, when you start kind of playing with the rule of law, it's the fundamentals of a law and order candidate or of a law and order society is that you respect the Constitution, you respect the process. Has he put himself in any harm's way with Republicans, basically playing with this idea of maybe this is not legitimate, maybe you're going to be violent, maybe you're going to have a revolt? Help us understand how this is going to be processed in this election.
You're asking me in part a somewhat loaded political question, and that's not my job. That's not my job. That's not my job. And to Corey's point, I'm having a back and forth with Corey because I'm trying to answer the very specific thing about a rigged election. Not the rigged system, not the FBI, about what Donald Trump has said about a rigged election, that somebody could actually either fake the votes or get into the system and switch the count, switching an election. That's the point I'm talking about. That's never happened. The FBI, I'm willing to talk to you about everything else. But to your point, Republicans are saying Donald Trump's wrong about this. There's a lot of that going on, certainly without a doubt. It's just to have a candidate for president saying that, and Donald Trump used the active voice. The system today and on election day, they are going to rig the system. That means changing the numbers. But that means cheating.
You got Republican governors. You got Republican governors. You got Republican secretaries of state in swing states. You're trying to say that a Republican candidate saying that I believe Republican governors and Republican secretaries of state are going to allow that doesn't hurt Republicans.
If the system let's look at it this way. In the last 10 years, Democrats have won 2 presidential elections overwhelmingly. Republicans have won everything else. So if the system's rigged, Republicans have benefited from it a whole lot more than the Democrats. The system's not rigged. I don't believe. I believe there are instances of fraud, yes, but in a way that changes a race for Congress, for governor,
but
for president.
I guess the question, and you alluded to this earlier, is for the next week, is this going to be the discussion out on the campaign trail? Every Republican, every Democrat running, and how does that help or hurt Donald Trump? Does it help Donald Trump to have this be the topic that's discussed for the next week, eating up
if he ties it into the other things that I'm talking about?
You think it does?
If it makes it part and parcel of that as a standalone, no.
But it seems like the debate is going to be more, was it appropriate what he said more than anything else?
And as the candidate, he should be out there saying, tying it in to all these other things, because that is the issue.
So you think he should be out there saying that the system's rigged and the election could be stolen from him?
Because we've had a lot of instances of this.
Let me ask you, why is his answer?
When you say a lot, what do you mean?
In the last 10 years. And don't name Pennsylvania, Jeffrey.
No, just let him answer.
Pennsylvania State Senate race. There was, wait.
Michael Smirkanish talks about that.
Yeah, it was overturned, because the judge said the race was stolen. The Kennedy-Nixon race, Richard Nixon went to his grave thinking it was stolen from him. Al Gore, I mean, there are all sorts of things out here that John Kerry thinks, Ohio and, all this.
We're not going to resolve this because what you're saying to me sounds more anecdotal than
what
large
I'm
amounts
saying
of
to you is
but here's the
systemic problem of double
standards. Here's the question I want to ask you, and maybe Corey, which is, why was Donald Trump's answer to this question different from Mike Pence's answer?
And
to
Ivanka
this
Trump.
question?
And Kellyanne
Okay, let him answer. Let him answer.
So you've asked me the question: why is Tim Kaine's answer on taxpayer-funded abortion different than Hillary Clinton's answer on taxpayer-funded
But
abortion?
can you answer her question?
Sure. So you tell me, why is Barack Obama's position different?
Can you answer without another rhetorical question?
Absolutely. You tell me every presidential candidate and their running mate who agree on every single answer.
So they
How about on
disagree.
gay marriage on Joe Biden and Barack Obama when Joe Biden get out in front?
Corey, this is a different. I'm sorry.
No, I'm just going to say.
No,
So
you're
they
saying,
disagree.
what if they disagree? So what?
No,
well, but it's a fundamental.
Yeah.
It's a
Why is it
fundamental issue.
So is it different on taxpayer-funded
This
abortion?
isn't. No, it is. It is different.
Why?
This isn't a policy question. You have one guy saying, "I believe in the integrity of the election system," and the other guy, the guy at the top of the ticket, saying, "I'm not sure." That seems like a pretty profound
You don't
issue.
think it was a big
This
deal that
isn't like
Joe Biden get out in front of Barack Obama on gay rights before Barack Obama?
Corey,
that
I
wasn't
think
an
that was
issue?
a fundamental-
That was a fundamental difference. That's a fundamental
No,
philosophy of the Democratic Party.
When you are talking about the integrity of the American
gay rights is an
democracy,
important issue that
when
Barack Obama
Corey,
couldn't get out in front of?
both you guys, I said it to Jeffrey. I'll say it to you. You are not helping yourself like this.
David,
it is not sensible.
David,
Huh?
all I'm saying to you, and I'll say it again, this is about a double standard for elites versus everybody else.
No, what it's about is
Well,
it's
is
about
Pence
our fundamental
representing
democracy
elites?
and telling all these
Is
folks
Mike
who are
Pence
chanting out here.
representing elites?
It's about telling all these
He's a
folks
member
who
of
are
Congress, sure.
It's about telling all these folks who are chanting out here with bullhorns
By
that if,
definition, Gloria,
if Donald
members of
Trump
Congress
loses,
are elites.
that the election was
Okay,
stolen from him.
John.
If this is what the next 19 days is about, about a rigged system and they're taking the election, and not if you're Donald Trump, about getting you a job, fundamentally restructuring the economy and changing Washington, then Hillary Clinton is going to get 340 electoral votes.
Let me add to that. Let me just add to that. So here's the deal. Fundamentally, this is a leadership failure on the part of Donald Trump in the following way. First of all, you have to remember, both of these candidates, both Hillary Clinton and Donald Trump, had tremendous problems with their own parties. Hillary Clinton was able to heal a rift in her own party such that now Sanders is out there being a surrogate for her. Donald Trump, his first leadership challenge is to heal his own party. He's not been able to unite his own party. He hasn't been able to unite his own campaign. Kellyanne Conway threw him under the bus today. He hasn't been able to unite his own ticket. He's not able to unite his own family. Ivanka has a different position than he has on the fundamental integrity of the election.
You're
what you
opposed
have
to
is-
diversity, suddenly?
So you have a catastrophic leadership failure of the first order for the very first time on a candidate, not on.
No, but I think there has been a point in this election where Donald Trump could have won it without completely unifying the Republican Party, because
This whole conversation is
the fact that I was at the comma and not the period is also a
She doesn't
mockery.
want to talk about what's really going on in this country. She doesn't want to talk
No,
about the
actually,
fact that she
she
lied
did.
about her immigration position. She doesn't want
wasn't
to talk about the fact that she
sorry.
lied about
Corey,
ignoring things.
Corey, it wasn't the question asked at the debate. The question was asked by Chris Wallace of Fox News, who did a very good job tonight pressing both candidates.
Yeah.
He did ask some questions of
Not as
Secretary
good as
Clinton.
Anderson.
This was a
Weeks later.
Right.
So what
Because
Donald
they
Trump
had to
is saying-
recount the votes.
Which the Secretary of
Which
State
he didn't-
certified
he didn't
November
need to
18th.
But they
need to
weren't
recount.
counted.
Corey,
He didn't need to recount.
It was an automatic recount.
Why wouldn't your guy just say, of course, unless there's something that called into question the result, of course I'll accept them. Why wouldn't he do that?
What he's saying is,
can't.
what he's saying is, I will use every means possible to make sure
No,
that
that's
the
what you're
election.
saying. That's what you're saying.
saying.
That's what you're saying.
We never would have had a recount in
That's
Florida.
different than what Donald
So are
Trump
you-
said tonight.
We never would have had a recount in Florida. We never would have had a Supreme
Corey,
Court
are you
decision.
disappointed in
So-
are you disappointed in your running mate
Look,
that he did?
here's what I'm
give that
disappointed in.
answer?
The hypocrisy of no one calling Al Gore.
No, we've already gotten it.
No,
Jeffrey.
he conceded.
We got the talking points
David,
already.
David, here's what happened, and you remember this. Al Gore conceded that night, then he unconceded,
Yes, he
then he
did.
had to reconcede on December 13th.
Right.
Back to the closest election for the presidency in our lifetime, Al Gore and George W. Bush. And if either of them, going into this election, would have conceded that we will not use every legal means possible to us at the end, before the
Not what he
election
said.
began, we wouldn't have...
Talk about what he actually said. What he actually said is, I'll keep you in suspense. There's nothing presidential about, number one, his debate performance tonight, and number two, that answer. This was the most undemocratic answer that could have been given by someone who is, as Hillary Clinton said, a major party's nominee. That was a horrible answer. He made a mockery of American democracy tonight.
What's a mockery?